it's me, Anja. My pronouns are she and her, and welcome back to my channel for a new book tag. I decided to do the 20 questions book tag because first of all, it's kind of a staple on BookTube. Most everybody I know has already done it, so I'm kind of late. And second of all, I feel like these questions are really educational, so I hope that this tag helps you get to know me as a reader, you know what I mean? So anyway, I will leave the original book tag in the description box below, even though if I'm being honest, I don't know who created this book tag. But anyway, the first question is, how many books is too many books in a series? Honestly, I will have to say more than 5. I can only read like one book series. I can only think of one book series that did more than 5 books in one series well, and honestly, that's the series that shall not be named. But like, I feel like if you stick to 5 books in one series, that's enough. I hope that made sense. Anyway, the second question is thoughts on cliffhangers. I love cliffhangers. I feel like cliffhangers really keep me intrigued and keep me more intrigued to check out the next book in the series. For example, all the cliffhangers in the Shadow Game trilogy kept me hooked. That trilogy is literally so good, and it's so underrated, and I would highly recommend it. It's written by Amanda Foody, in case you were wondering, and the 3 books are called Ace of Shades, King of Fools, and Queen of Worlds. Anyway, moving on. The next question is hardback or paperback. Honestly, I don't really have a preference since I read a lot of ebooks, so like I don't really pay attention to like what the books looks like since I read a lot of ebooks instead of reading physical books. But we'll get into that like a little bit later. Anyway, the next question is favorite book. I have so many favorite books. I do love the Shadow Game trilogy, which I mentioned earlier. I love the Rereading trilogy. I love Radio Silence. I love the Grishaverse, except not really the King of Skulls duology, but like I have so many. I don't really have one specific favorite book. So yeah. Next question is what's your least favorite book? I don't really have one either, because like the books that I don't like, I don't really keep track of in my mind, you know what I mean? And I don't really have any books that I absolutely like despise, you know? So anyway, with that said, I don't really have one. Also, I apologize in advance if you can hear like all the car noise and like airplane noise and all that like background noise that I can't exactly control, and I wish that you could like eliminate, but like I don't know how to do that, obviously. So anyway, the next question is thoughts on love triangles, yes or no? Typically I would say no, because I feel like they're not really written well. You know, I feel like whenever I read a love triangle, I know exactly which love interest the author would prefer me root for, because that's the one that she's written like more screen time with. I feel like authors don't really write love triangles well, because like they should have an even amount of screen time. I keep saying screen time when I mean page time, since it's a book, not a movie, but you know what I mean. So I feel like they're not really written well, so like typically short answer is no. So yeah, I hope that made sense. Every time I film a book tag, I feel like it's not as concise or as cohesive as my previous book videos, but anyway, I feel like actually all my book videos are the same amount of like being cohesive and coherent, but I just think that they're much messier than they actually are, because I always feel like I'm less articulate than I actually am, because I always underestimate that about myself. So anyway, I digress. The point is, the next question is what's your most recent DNF? Honestly, I think that my most recent DNF is Counting Down With You, which I decided to give a second chance this year because I actually DNF'd it for the first time last year. When it first came out in like May of last year or something like that, I DNF'd it for the first time at 40%, and then I decided to give it a second chance last week, but then I DNF'd it again because I had another book that I was way more interested in and way more excited for, and that book was Only a Monster, which, if you didn't know, I rated 4 stars because I talked about it in a recent reads video, like not last week, but maybe the week before. I don't know, time is funky, because I'm pre-filming this video, if you didn't know, on the 20th of February. Today is Olivia Rodrigo's birthday. That's so exciting. Anyway, I feel like I talk too fast as well. Let me know if you think that I do as well. But anyway, the point is, I'm pre-filming this video on the 20th of February, which is Olivia Rodrigo's birthday. and you're watching this in like the middle of March, if I'm not mistaken. So anyway, the Lisa Lewis video that I talked about only a month still in, I don't know when exactly you watched it, but for me, it wasn't the last Lisa Lewis video that I filmed, but the one before. That's what I'm trying to say. Anyway, like I mentioned, I'm so messy and I'm not exactly articulate whenever I film videos, but I'm probably like less articulate, not less articulate, more articulate than I actually think I am, because like I mentioned, I underestimate myself. Anyway, the point is, the next question is, what's your current read? I just finished reading Redemptor, which was a 5-star read, which again, I feel like I already talked about in a recent reads video that you've watched, but I haven't filmed yet, because time is funky and pre-filming is just like so funky. Anyway, the point is, that's the last book I read. I rated it 5 stars. It was so good. It's a YA fantasy sequel to Raybearer, which I also read like last week or something like that, whereas everybody else read Raybearer like a year ago or like 2 years ago, because I think it came out in 2020 and not 2021. But anyway, I was like late to reading it. So yeah, Redemptor the sequel was so good. So I rated it 5 stars and I really, really enjoyed it. But yeah, anyway, the next question is, what's the last book you recommended to somebody? Probably Dangerous Remedy, because I feel like my friend and I were talking about like our favorite subgenre of fantasy recently, and if you didn't know, my 3 favorite genres are fantasy, contemporary, and historical fiction, and my favorite subgenre of fantasy is historical fantasy, so I recommended Dangerous Remedy and Before I Disappear, both of which are so good. And they're also both queer, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, because Dangerous Remedy is also sapphic, and Before I Disappear is also Achillean, which, if you didn't know, is the umbrella term for men loving men, in the same sense that sapphic is the umbrella term for woman loving woman. So, yeah, there you have it. Anyway, the next question is, what's the oldest book you've read? Oldest in terms of, like, publication date. I don't know, probably all those, like, classic books that I read in high school, but I don't know if those really count, because, like, I was like required to read them, so like most of them I didn't really like enjoy, so I don't know which one is like actually the oldest. So yeah, the next question is, what's the newest book you've read? And honestly, I don't know, because I've read a lot of new releases recently, so I don't know which one is like the latest one. You know, like the book that's on my mind right now is Only a Monster, but I don't know if like Only a Monster or The Cannibal Legacies came out first. So honestly, I don't know which one is actually the newest release, but yeah, I do read a lot of new releases pretty frequently. So yeah, the next book on this list, not the next book, next question on this list is favorite author. So anyway, for those who don't know, my favorite authors are Raybearer, Amanda Foody, Tracy Chi, Akemi Dawn Bowman, and Alex Oseman. I love them so much. They're literally so talented. I feel like I talk about them all the time, or maybe I don't. I feel like I definitely like talk about the same books and the same authors all the time, but maybe since I post so often, maybe to you it doesn't come across that way. Anyway, I don't know. Let me know if you feel like I actually talk about the same books and authors all the time, or if you feel like there's actually like variety in what I read and what I promote. But anyway, the point is, the next question is, do you buy or borrow books? I definitely borrow books because I use the library instead of like a bookstore, or like, I was about to think of like another option other than a library and a bookstore to like obtain books, but then I couldn't think of anything. Anyway, I'm cheap, okay? Like, I'm cheap, I don't have any money to spend on books, so I definitely borrow books more often than buying books. So, yeah, I don't exactly have, like, a physical TBR. Whenever I talk about my TBR, I mean, like, my Goodreads want-to-read list. So, yeah, my Goodreads, by the way, is in the description box below, right above, I believe, my book Twitter, which is also in my description. So, anyway, the next question is, what's a book that you dislike that everybody loves? I don't know. Like I mentioned earlier, I don't really keep track of the books that I dislike, so I don't really have one. Like, I disliked A Court of Thorns and Roses, which is the book that I always think of whenever I answer this question, but like that book has like pretty mixed reviews on it. Like, there are a lot of other people who also dislike that book. So yeah, I can't really think of one that I dislike that everybody else like loves, other than like A Fault in Our Stars. But like that book didn't age well as well, and like people know that. So I can't really think of one, because honestly honestly, for the most part, with really popular books, I tend to either agree or disagree with the hype, but there's always one person who like also dislikes it. So anyway, the point is that I can't think of one. So anyway, the next book, I keep saying next book because I'm so used to filming Lisa Lee's videos and recommended Lee's videos, because I literally don't film book tags that often at all, as you've probably noticed. So anyway, next question, not the next book, is bookmarks or dog ears. So I tend to like bookmark books, although if I'm being honest, since I read ebooks more often than I read physical books, I don't really do either one. But like if I did read physical books, I would say bookmarks, because like when I did read more physical books than ebooks, again, I would borrow them from the library, so I would have to use like a bookmark over a dog ear, because like I've been taught that when you borrow something from somebody else, you're supposed to like return it in the same quality, if not better quality, than when you like took it from them, if that makes any sense. So I never went into like a dog ear or library book page. So I would always use like my receipts from the library as a bookmark. So anyway, the short answer is bookmark. But honestly, the short answer is that right now I don't do either one. So anyway, the next question is, what's a book that you always reread? I don't reread books as often as I would like to, so honestly I don't really have like a consistent answer. So the next question is, can you read while listening to music? Honestly, I cannot, because I cannot focus on anything. If I'm trying to listen to a song, I can't do like other things. Actually, that's not true. I can listen to music while writing, but I can't listen to music while reading, because when I'm reading, I'm trying to like be immersed into the story. So like listening to music just would be distracting, and like vice versa. I hope that makes sense. Anyway, next question is single or multiple perspectives. Definitely multiple perspectives. It really helps like expand on the characters and everything, especially when reading fantasy. Like I mentioned earlier, fantasy is my favorite genre, so I tend to gravitate towards it the most. So yeah. The next question is, do you read in one sitting or over multiple days? One sitting, since I read so fast, as you've probably noticed. So yeah, the 20th question on this list is to tag people, but honestly I can't think of anybody to like specifically tag, because most of the time whenever I tag people, they don't actually participate, so what's the point? So yeah, that's it. That's the end of these 20 questions book tag. I hope this tag was like educational for you, and I hoped it helped you like get to know me as a reader. Like I mentioned, I apologize in advance for, first of all the background noise that maybe you can't hear but I can, and second of all, this video is not as like articulate or as cohesive as like maybe actually. Anyway, like I mentioned earlier, I underestimate how articulate I actually am, so maybe this video comes across as being really eloquent and I just don't see it. But anyway, I apologize if it's not as eloquent as usual. But anyway, the point is, in conclusion, if you enjoyed this video, please don't hesitate to give it a big thumbs up. Comment down below the sun emoji if you made it all the way to the end of the video. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel if you're new, and I'll see you in my next video.